Subtraction of mixed numbers with different denominators and renaming. So remember, renaming is another way, or at least it's another way that I say regrouping. I think that makes more sense. And so maybe, for example, to remind you, let's say we had something like 35 minus, 29. So we can't do 5 minus 9. I mean, we could say it's -4, but that's silly. So what we do is we borrow, and we borrow a 10 from the 10's place, the next place over, so this becomes a 2, and then we regroup that 10 over here into the 1's place. 10 plus 5 is 15. And so now we can do 15 minus 9 is 6, and then 2 minus 2 is 0, so it's just 6. Okay, now, compare that to how we're going to do this stuff over here. I probably should have waited though, because before we can even worry about this regrouping stuff we're going to need to do, we notice that we have different denominators. We have a 4 and a 6, and we have to have the same denominators if we're going to subtract fractions. Adding and subtraction, you must have the same denominator. So we need to think of the smallest number, the least number, that is a multiple of 4 and of 6. So thinking of multiples of 6, 12 would be the next one, and 4 goes into 12. So I think our least common denominator, LCD, would be 12. So I'm going to rewrite this subtraction problem with my fractions over 12. And I'm going to write these vertically because that's just what I like to do. I'm more comfortable with that. So 3/4 I'm writing as something over 12. We would need to multiply 4 times 3 to get 12, so 3 times 3 is 9. And then minus 4, but instead of 5, 6, something over, something over 12. And so I think I need to multiply by 2, right? 6 times 2 is 12, so 5 times 2 is 10. And so now we look at this and we are at this kind of situation. 9 minus 10 would be -1. And we don't want to have -1/12, and then 7 minus 4 would be 3, +3. We don't want to have a mixed number with two different signs. So we are going to borrow from the 7 and change this 9 to make it bigger. So let me use a different color. Okay, so if I borrow from the 7, it's going to become a 6, and I'm going to regroup that 1 whole into the 9/12. So 1 plus 9/12 would be kind of like thinking of the mixed number. 1 and 9/12, not kind of, it actually is exactly the same thing. 1 and 9/12, so I can convert this mixed number to an improper fraction. So this is the 1 that I've borrowed from the 7. 1 times 12 is 12, plus 9 is, 21? So 21 over 12. And so that means that this 9 is going to become a 21 when I regroup the 1 that I borrowed from the whole number and add it to the 9/12. So the shortcut is that you always just add the numerator and denominator. 9 plus 12 is 21, so that's the new numerator. Okay, so now we can do 21 minus 10, and we get 11, so 11/12. And then 6 minus 4 is 2. So the answer is 2 and 11/12. You always want to check that your fraction is simplified, but 11/12 is simplified. We can't simplify it anymore, so this is the answer. So let's do one more. I'll switch back to blue. 7 1/4 minus 3/7. So yet again, and that's what this topic is, of course, different denominators. We have to get common denominators. 4 and 7 don't have any common factors, so the LCD is actually just going to be 4 times 7 or 28. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this now as 7 and, let's see, what over 28? 28 divided by 4 is 7. 7 times 1 is 7. And then minus, there's not a whole number, so it's just the 3/7, but we need to rewrite it. So 28 divided by 7 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. And so now we see that we need to try and do 7 minus 12, and we can't really do that. and unless we write down something dumb. So we are going to regroup and borrow from this whole number 7. Oh, it happens to be 7 again. So when I borrow, I get 6, and I'm regrouping one whole and adding it to 7 over 28. 7 over 28 plus 1 is basically what we're doing. And the shortcut is to just add 7 plus 28, and that would be 35. So what we're saying is that 7 and 7/28 is equivalent to 6 and 35/28. Of course, we would never write 6 and 35/28. We don't want to have a mixed number that's got an improper fraction, but it allows us to more easily solve this problem and do the subtraction here. So that's why we're doing it. Okay, so now we do 35 minus 12, and if you're more comfortable, you could use your calculator. 5 minus 2 is 7, 3 minus 1 is 2. So what is that, 27 over 28? And then 6, this time would just be minus 0, is 6. So 6 and 27 over 28 is simplified, so this is our final answer. By the way, it's kind of coincidence that we got 11 out of 12, 27 out of 28. The numerator is exactly one less than the denominator. That's not always going to happen. But yeah, anyway, just double check that it's simplified.